Hello, this is Short Stories. I'm Martin. Today I will read a story based on one of Aesop's fables. It's called Mercury and the Woodsman. It's about a woodsman, which is a person who lives in the forest and cuts down trees for a living. As you might imagine, his most important tool is his axe. Vocabulary: benefactor. Benefactor. The artist thanked his benefactors for their continued support. Deity. Deity. The ancient Romans worshipped many deities. Distress. Distress. The Gaokao causes a great deal of distress for millions of Chinese students. I'm ruined. I'm ruined. My business has burned to the ground. I'm ruined. Lumber. Lumber. Do we have enough lumber to build a house? Messenger. Messenger. A messenger arrived to deliver the latest news. Strenuous. Strenuous. The doctor advised her to avoid strenuous exercise while she was pregnant. Temple. Temple. Many Chinese students prayed at the temple before the Gaokao. All right, that's the end of the vocabulary. Now Derek will read the story.
Once upon a time, there was a woodsman who lived in the forests of Mount Parnassus. Every day, he would go out of his hut to chop down trees with his trusty axe. He would then sell the lumber at the town at the base of the mountain on every market day. It was a strenuous profession, and the income it provided was meager but steady. One day, while hacking away at an oak tree near the edge of a pond, the woodsman's axe handle broke, and the axe head went flying into the water. "Oh no," lamented the poor woodsman. "Without that axe head, I won't be able to earn any money." But there was nothing he could do but stare into the murky water. As he stared, his stomach began to growl. He hadn't eaten since yesterday, and today's batch of lumber was going to pay for his food supplies for the next week. With nothing else to do, the woodsman began to pray. You might have heard of Mount Parnassus, but if you haven't, I'll explain. This particular mountain holds a special place in the hearts of every Greek because, according to Greek mythology, it is the geographic center of the world, which is why the Greeks saw fit to make it the home of the great oracle. The great oracle's job was to communicate with the gods and inform inquiring Greeks, if they paid a fee, of divine will. This is where the god Mercury comes into this story. As the messenger of the gods, he made frequent trips over Mount Parnassus. And he was passing over the woodsman at just the moment he started to pray. "What's this?" said the curious god. "A human in distress? Perhaps I can help." The winged god swooped down out of the sky and made himself visible before the woodsman. This almost gave the woodsman a heart attack. "Do not be afraid," said the god gently. "I heard your prayer, and I have come to help. Tell me what is troubling you." The woodsman, recovering himself, replied, "My axe head fell into the water, and now I have no means of earning my bread." Mercury, feeling great pity for the woodsman, dove into the water and pulled out a gold axe head. "Is this your axe head?" asked the smiling deity. The woodsman took one look at it and replied, "No, that's not mine." Mercury was a bit confused by this response and said, "Are you sure it's not yours?" "Of course I'm sure," answered the woodsman. "Whoever heard of an axe head made of gold? The metal is too soft to bite into bark." Mercury scratched his head and dove back into the water. This time he pulled out a silver axe head. "Is this the right one?" he asked. Again, the woodsman refused the gift. Mercury dove into the water one last time and pulled out the old iron axe head that the woodsman had lost. "That's it," exclaimed the woodsman. Mercury smiled as he handed it to him. "You really are an honest man, aren't you?" he said. The woodsman replied by enthusiastically thanking the deity and promising to make sacrifices at his temple every day. "As a reward for your honesty, I'll allow you to keep these other 2 axe heads as well," said Mercury, before he zoomed off into the sky. On the next market day, the woodsman went into the town to sell his lumber as he always did. But this time he made sure to stop by the temple of Mercury. He sold the gold and silver axe heads to buy an ox to sacrifice to his divine benefactor. The ox merchant was curious and asked where he had found those axe heads. "The god Mercury himself gave them to me," replied the woodsman. The merchant inquired into the details, which triggered his greed. The next day, the ox merchant followed the woodsman to the pond where Mercury had appeared. He thanked the woodsman and then asked for some privacy while he prayed. After the woodsman had left, the greedy merchant pulled out an old axe head from his bag and threw it into the water. "Oh, Mercury," he called as he fell to his knees, "hear my prayer." Mercury appeared as he had done before. "Tell me what is troubling you," asked the god. "Help me get my axe head back," replied the ox merchant. Mercury dove into the water and pulled out a gold axe head. "Is this yours?" he asked. The ox merchant leaped to his feet to grab the treasure from the god's hands. "Yes, it's mine," he said enthusiastically. Mercury pulled his hands back and looked at the man with disgusted eyes. "You are really a dishonest man, aren't you?" he said. The ox merchant began sputtering excuses. "No, really," he exclaimed. "It's really my axe head. Now give it to me." Mercury floated up into the air and wagged his finger at the greedy merchant. "Tisk, tisk," he said. "As a punishment for your dishonesty, I will take something of value from you." Then the god flew up into the air, never to be seen again. The ox merchant began to panic and ran down the mountain to the town. He raced to his stockyard, where, to his shock and horror, he found that all of his oxen were missing. "I'm ruined," he shouted, and the ox merchant was forced to live a life of poverty.
Now the questions. Number 1. What is so special about Mount Parnassus? A. It's the home of the great oracle. B. It's the tallest mountain in Greece. C. It's full of gold. D. It's a volcano. The answer is A. It's the home of the great oracle. Question 2. Why did Mercury give the woodsman a gift? A. He admired his honesty. B. He admired his skill. C. The woodsman helped him deliver a message. D. The great oracle told him to. The answer is A. He admired his honesty. Question 3. Why did Mercury steal the merchant's oxen? A. The merchant owed him some money. B. The merchant was dishonest. C. The merchant stole Mercury's staff. D. The oxen were made of gold. The answer is B. The merchant was dishonest. Question 4. What is probably the moral of this story? A. Honesty is the best policy. B. Blood is thicker than water. C. Fortune favors the bold. D. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. The answer is A. Honesty is the best policy.